All right, everybody, very warm welcome. The highest in me bows to the highest in you. And welcome to this special session, which we are having on the occasion of India's Independence Day, 15th of August. Last year, we'd had a early morning session on the same day, so I thought, why not do it again? And I will introduce you to a Mahasati practice. Some of you know this already. And I'd like to share with you this beautiful practice, Mahasati meditation. And so the basic agenda is we will learn the practice, we will do the practice. Some of you already know the practice, you can just get started. The rest of you, I'll introduce you to it. And I'll also give a bit of a talk at the end of the practice. So I thought it's a nice way to start Independence Day by discussing the topic of true independence, true freedom. What does it mean? And that's what today's practice is about. I'd like us to start with just coming to this is called coming to our senses. What does it mean, coming to our senses? Notice what you're seeing. Notice what you're hearing. Or a better way of saying it is, notice that seeing is happening. Notice that hearing is happening. Notice that feeling is happening. And this quality of noticing is what we're going to be developing in today's practice. So those of you who are new to this practice, I would invite you to actually put your video on so that I can guide you a little bit. If you don't want to, that's fine, but it'll help because this practice actually is a dynamic practice. So it helps me see you do this. And if you can sit in a way that I can actually observe you do the practice, that'll be nice. But if for any reason you're uncomfortable, that's all right. So Mahasati practice is something I learned when I was living as a Buddhist monk. I spent about 6 years living as a meditation monk. And I learned this rather unusual practice in my first few months of going to Thailand. And what's remarkable about this practice is, first of all, it's done with open eyes. Normally, we're used to closing our eyes when we meditate. But in Mahasati, there's no problem keeping your eyes open because the peace we are looking for is not some kind of peace of escaping the world, escaping our thoughts. It's the peace of meeting the world with awareness. So those of you who are used to closing your eyes when you meditate, you'll find this a little unusual. Eyes are open in this practice. The other thing we do in this practice is we make gentle movements. So my hands, like my palms, are on my knees. If you're seated on a chair, that's also fine. You can keep your palms on your knees. And we're going to be making gentle movements. So for example, we're going to be gently moving the hands. And we're going to be aware. We're going to feel the movement of the hand. So we're going to feel the hand moving. And we're going to be aware of each movement. So when moving, we are aware of moving. When pausing, we are aware of pausing. So why don't we just get started? And I'll explain more as we go along. Put both your palms on your knees. And starting with your right hand, turn it to the side. Then lift it up to shoulder level. When you lift it up, some people lift it like this. That's not required. Just lift your hand up like this to shoulder level. Then slowly bring it down to touch the belly. Left hand similarly moves to the side. Shoulder level. Bring it down to touch the right hand. Now your right hand, inner hand, comes to the middle of your chest. Out, down, and you turn it down. Left hand. So now you keep making these movements, okay? Again, the right hand. In the beginning, those of you who are learning for the first time, I want you to follow me until you learn it. It doesn't matter so much. If you're left-handed, you can start with the left hand. That doesn't matter. But the main thing is these repeated rhythmic movements. Eyes are open in a relaxed way. You're seated in a relaxed way. And you're making gentle rhythmic movements. And the main practice is to be aware of whatever is happening. So we are aware of the hand moving. We are aware of the hand touching something. So one thing you'll realize as you do this is you're either aware of what's happening or you've gone into some kind of thought. And that's all right. Just notice that and come back to the next movement. Just feel one movement. Like right now, I'm feeling the movement from my chest to coming out and then down and then turning the hand down. So simple rhythmic movements. Those of you who are unfamiliar with this practice will have many questions, but for now, just do the practice. I'll explain everything as we go along. Like, why are we practicing with open eyes? Why do we have to move our hands? Just keep practicing. It'll become clear through your own experience. So by now, if you're getting used to the practice, you don't have to follow me exactly. You've understood how the hands work. If you're not sure, keep following me. The main thing you're doing is you're making these simple movements and you're pausing in between each movement. So I move my hand up, I pause for a short while. I touch my belly, I pause for a short while. And I'm aware of the movement. I'm aware of the pause. And you're just noticing what's happening right now. So movement is happening, touch is happening. Sometimes thoughts are happening. And just shift from your thinking to your feeling, to your being. And this is a very gentle practice, so don't fight with yourself. Do it in a very relaxed way. So if your mind wanders, no worries. Come back to the next movement. Come back to the next movement. Mahasati is not a concentration practice. It's an awareness practice. Concentration is exclusive. Like I'll be aware of my breath and nothing else. But awareness is inclusive. So you're aware of your hand movements and also maybe what you're seeing, also maybe what you're hearing in a very relaxed way. You're relaxing into the present and your hand movements are helping you with that. Because they're a very big thing. You can't really miss it, right? It's so big. So in a very relaxed, gentle way, you're noticing what's happening in the present moment. And there's so much of joy in even one simple movement. Just feel the movement from beginning to end. Wow. That was a moment of presence. At least for that one movement, I was not lost in past and future. I was right here. Sometimes the whole day can go by. We're not even that aware. We're not even that aware of one movement from beginning to end. We are continuously lost in thoughts. So this practice is teaching us how to come back to the present. This practice is the antidote to suffering. Suffering comes from believing our resistant thoughts. I shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't be like this. Life shouldn't be like this. Instant suffering. What's the opposite of suffering? जो है जैसा है वैसा है. It is the way it is. Meeting life the way it is instead of meeting life through the filter of your expectations. Again and again, the mind will wander. Again and again, you'll bring it back to this movement, this pause, this touch. And you're gently guiding the mind to notice. Notice what's happening. Even notice thought is happening. Those of you who are just learning this, be a little patient with yourself. In the beginning, you're not sure what's happening. You're not sure you're doing it right. Just be patient. Just enjoy one movement, one pause, one touch. Very soon, you'll begin to get a taste of this. Oh, it's so simple. Not trying to get anywhere, not trying to achieve anything, not trying to have some special experience. Mahasati is about valley experiences, not peak experiences. Peak experiences are very powerful, but they last for a very short while. Valley experiences, they're always available. Awareness is always available. Take in the comprehensive experience of now. A snapshot of the totality of life as it is being experienced right now. Seeing is happening automatically. Hearing is happening automatically. After a while, even these movements will happen automatically. Breathing, heartbeat, digestion. thoughts, feelings. It's all happening automatically. You just notice. Don't get caught up into doing anything. This is called drashta bhav. This is called sakshi bhav, witness consciousness. And then deeper realities start revealing themselves. In my case, I am in touch with impermanence, changing. My feelings are changing. Sensations are changing. The hand is moving, coming and going. Thoughts are coming and going. And this is not an intellectual belief. I can actually experience it right now. It's coming and going. In my awareness or in awareness, comes and it goes. The direct experience of change. One thing that can heal all of us is the direct experience of change. Why? Because it's real. Why? Because it's true. Change is true. So noticing change is noticing truth. And the more deeply you notice truth, you're in touch with the truth. And everything heals. The inner tightness starts to dissolve. Make sure you pause for a bit between each movement. It's not a continuous movement. There's a pause, and you feel the next movement. And you feel the next movement. And you feel the next movement. So just discrete movements. And your challenge is to feel the movement without getting lost in some kind of a dream, some kind of a trance. August 15th, India got independence from colonial rule, the tyranny of colonial rule. And that's a very important occasion. But are we truly independent? Are we not all under the tyranny of random thoughts? Are we not afflicted by our own thinking? Thought makes us feel good. Thought makes us get into a bad mood. And we just get pulled by that. We worry about this, worry about that. So the independence is not complete yet. The country got independence. But have we gotten independence yet? So in a very simple, steady, gradual way, you are coming back to drashta bhav, witness consciousness, noticing everything coming and going. And of course, you'll forget and you'll come back. You'll get lost and you'll wake up again. But little by little, you will all begin to notice a steadiness. Feel the hand moving, feel the hand pausing, feel the touch. And some of you will begin to feel that, wow, it's like waking up from a dream. I was lost in all these thoughts about work, family, health, money, future, security, that fight I had with that person. I was lost in this dream. It's like, oh, here I am. Here we are. Wake up. Wake up. Nothing is bothering you but your own thinking. And what you're thinking about is just made up. It's not actually true. You can think about it in a different way, and that'll also be made up. So with Mahasati, we shine the light of awareness on the present, on our own experience. And we understand the nature of our experience. So instead of liking and disliking our experience, we say, oh, that's fine. I may have preferences, opinions. But what's the nature of this experience? And we discover it is impermanent, anicca, changing. The teacher who taught Mahasati, Lungpo Tien, was a successful businessman who realized that despite many years of spiritual practice, even meditation, despite being a very generous person, he was still not free from anger. And so he left home to discover what is the solution to this. And he came across a monk doing this practice, moving his hands. He was very curious. What are you doing? What is this hand movement practice? So the monk said, I'm practicing awareness. He said, teach me. So like I'm teaching you today, that monk taught him. So Lungpo Tien practiced intensely for 3 days. In his case, that's all it took, 3 days. And he said it was the end of suffering. Then he spent the next few months just enjoying that bliss. In the present moment, there's no problem. All problems come from believing our thoughts, believing our imaginations. Then he went back and taught his family, and he guided them for the next few years. And then they also had similar results to him. Then he began teaching whoever was interested, spending his own money, creating retreats, paying for everything. And eventually someone said to him, you'd better become a monk. In this country, people only listen to monks for such things. He said, all right. So he became a Buddhist monk. And this is all he taught till the end of his life. In fact, he died on his deathbed. These movements we're making now, he was lying down and making the same movements till the last moment of his life. He didn't have to do it, but he was giving an example. Awareness is the way out of suffering. We are imagining that, more fame, more money, more power, more health, more knowledge is the way out of suffering. And Luang Por Tien is saying, no, awareness is the way out of suffering. What you're really looking for is right here, not somewhere else. You just have to be aware of one movement from beginning to end, one pause, one touch. And keep coming back to that. And you're building a rhythm of attentiveness, a rhythm of awakeness. And you're breaking the habit of being asleep, being lost, daydreaming. You're cutting through that habit again, again, again. And in the process, you're discovering happiness for no reason. It's not the happiness of being in a good mood. It's not the happiness of getting what you want. It's just the happiness of being. Happiness of being. जो है, जैसा है, वैसा है. I'm going to be quiet for the next few minutes. Continue practicing. Feel the movement. Feel the pause. Feel the touch. I'd like you all to discover suffering and non-suffering. As you're doing the practice, suffering will arise, some kind of suffering, some kind of resisting, some kind of holding on, and suffering will subside, some kind of waking up, some kind of untangling. Understand that process. Grasping and non-grasping. So if you like, you can complete your present movement. Just get your hands down. And I want to, for those of you especially who are new, I want to explain how do you practice this in your life. You've learned the basic practice, which is the 14 movements, but we don't count them. We just feel the hand moving, feel the hand pausing. We feel the touch. When the hand touches something, we feel the touch. So that's the main practice. And then throughout the day, you are aware of movements. So for example, when you're walking, that's a movement. When you're opening a door, that's a movement. When you're picking up a glass of water to drink, that's a movement. The process of drinking is a movement. When you're chewing food, most of us eat 3 times a day. So there's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? So there's a lot of movements going on. Something is coming to your mouth, you're chewing, you're swallowing. That's a movement. Combing your hair, that's a movement. Adjusting your glasses, that's a movement. Putting on your bag on your shoulder, that's a movement. So normally this is done completely automatically. We don't think about it. And here also you don't have to think about it, but you notice it. You notice it. So notice standing, notice walking, notice sitting, notice lying down, and notice all the intermediate movements. And when nothing else is happening, when you're not in the middle of a conversation or you're not in the middle of some work, then make simple rhythmic movements. So for example, your hand is on your leg, and you're just opening and closing your fist, opening and closing your fist, or even just moving a single finger like that, just moving a single finger. So what are you doing? You're shifting from thinking about something to just being aware of what's happening now. And a physical movement is something you can't miss. It's also possible to be aware of the breath, but breath is a little subtle, so sometimes your mind starts wandering faster. So come to simple rhythmic movements. You could even lift and drop your leg. You're sitting in a meeting, you can lift and drop one leg, lift and drop the other leg. Or on your hands are under the table, go like this and down, like this and down. So you're finding ways to be present no matter what's happening. Right? Of course, when there's work to be done, you're actively thinking about something, you're writing something, then focus on that. In the beginning of this practice, if you try to meditate while doing thinking work, you're going to get very confused. So don't do that. When you have to think about something, then you think. But the rest of the time, don't have to think all the time. The problem with us is not thinking. The overthinking is the problem. When thinking is not required, then also you're thinking. You don't know how to put that mechanism off. So now you've learned a powerful way to at least begin to put it off. So one thing I tell myself is, like sometimes, maybe I'm having a bath or maybe I'm having breakfast and the mind is going. So I tell myself, thinking is not required right now. I mean, we can just eat now. We can just walk now. We can just bathe now. Thinking is not required every single moment. Yes, there are times when a little bit of planning is required, a little bit of thinking is required, but not every moment. Why have we become such slaves to our thinking? When you're with your children, you're not listening to them, you're lost in your thoughts. When you're with your husband or wife, you're not listening to them. One of the big complaints they have is you never listen. So I'm listening, I'm listening. Yeah, you're listening for 1 second, then again you're gone. So our relationships also suffer because we don't listen, because we don't pay attention. And when someone gets very upset, they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't notice." You didn't notice, right in front of you is all happening. How are you not noticing? Because they're lost in their thoughts. We're all guilty of this, are we not? You're living in the middle of heaven, but you're not noticing. You're imagining some other place will do it, some other thing will do it. Each of us is in heaven right now. I don't know your exact life situation, but I'm here to tell you, you're in heaven right now. But are you noticing the heaven? Mhm. Not believing your thoughts is heaven. So you do these simple rhythmic movements. Lungpo Tien said, either you do the full practice or you keep making rhythmic movements throughout the day. And that's the whole practice. You just shift your energy from just random thoughts to noticing what's happening. And in the beginning, you're like, okay, but what is this, such big movements? How can this be spiritual? How can this be meditation? The Buddha said something very powerful once. He said, just like all the rivers in the world converge into the ocean, is it true? All the river streams will become bigger rivers. Eventually, they're going to converge into the ocean. The Buddha said, one who has mindfulness established on the body, all the wholesome qualities that lead to final awakening, final quenching, final liberation, all wholesome qualities that lead to final liberation will converge into a person who has mindfulness established on the body. Establish mindfulness on the body. Most of your worries have to do with the body, your body and other people's bodies. Don't neglect the body. How much time of the day goes in the body with taking care of the body? Sleep, eating, then the work you do also, so you can pay your rent, pay for your food, pay for your electricity. If you look at it carefully, is it not all about the body? Almost everything is about the body. Then you go to the doctor, then you have medicine, then you do exercise. I mean, is it not more than 90% about the body only then? So why not pay attention to the body? And as you pay attention to the body, deeper realities will reveal themselves, thoughts will reveal themselves, emotions will reveal themselves. Your way of looking at the world will reveal itself. But start with a strong foundation. Let the body be the foundation. And then automatically feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, and your reaction to your feelings, that will become evident. And your thought process will become evident. And then the nature of awareness itself will become evident, but start from the ground up. Don't try to jump too high. Don't try to build a skyscraper 2 floors up. Build the foundation from the ground. So while this practice may look strange, look funny, what is strange, what is not strange? Is it not just defined by what we are conditioned? In India, we eat with our hands. We don't find that strange. But other people look at us and say, that's strange. You're eating with your hands. Why don't you use a fork and knife? We are used to eating with our hands. We like eating with our hands. What is strange? What is not strange? So there's nothing strange about this. It's so simple. And the way I see it is if I'm feeling itchy on my hand, I'll scratch. Right? It's very normal. We feel itchy, we scratch. So when your mind is troubling you, this is the way to scratch it. Because the mind is not a thing. You can't scratch the mind. So open and close my fist. Okay, that's leave the thought. Now what's happening here? Open and close my fist. Oh, there's no problem. I'm making a problem. I'm believing my thinking, right? So you start coming out of your illusion. So this is the practice. I will share more information. There's actually a course. Last year, we practiced quite intensively for 3 months, and I've recorded those sessions. So I'll share with you how you can access those sessions. I'll make that available in all our groups. But for now, just sit comfortably with me. Eyes can be open or closed. And I want to introduce you to an even deeper teaching. I recently shared this with a group of students. They're in school. And I got a lot of feedback from them saying how helpful it was for them, how liberating it was for them. So I said, this is a nice thing to share with all of us. So I'm going to take you through this and see what impact it has on you. Sit comfortably, eyes can be open or closed. And whatever I'm saying, I want you to repeat it slowly in your own mind. And notice the effect it has on you. Nothing I am thinking means anything. Nothing I am feeling means anything. Nothing I'm hearing means anything. Nothing I'm remembering means anything. Nothing I'm imagining means anything. None of this means anything. So this is a very powerful teaching. It's designed to directly strike at the foundation of all your belief systems. None of this means anything. Nothing you're seeing means anything. Nothing you're hearing means anything. Even what I'm saying now actually doesn't mean anything. We give it a meaning. We give what we see a meaning. We give what we hear a meaning. We give what happens a meaning. Child comes home with a report card. He's not done well. He's not done well in his subjects. Now, what meaning do we give it? He's so lazy. He's so distracted. He never listens. That could be one meaning. Or maybe he's struggling with something. Maybe he has something on his mind. Maybe he's having some challenge. Maybe he's had a fight with someone. Maybe he's getting bullied at school. Maybe he needs to be taught in a different way. What meaning are we giving it? None of it means anything. We are making up meaning as we go along. It begins to rain. Farmers are quite happy. Those of us who are planning a picnic are quite unhappy. Those of us who had planned a big outdoor party are extremely unhappy. But it doesn't mean anything. Rain is just rain. Someone says it's good, someone says it's not good. Doesn't mean anything. So nothing you are feeling right now means anything. It's just a feeling. Your favorite problem, your favorite struggle, your favorite disappointment doesn't mean anything. It's just a way of thinking. So instead of adding to your concepts, I'm in a way inviting you to drop your concepts. Of course, this is also a kind of a concept, but it's a concept that ends concepts. What if nothing you think means anything? It's just made up. Nothing you feel means anything. It's just made up. A very deep unplugging starts to happen from the cultural matrix, from the societal matrix, from the religious matrix, from the economic matrix, all these ideas about how you should be, as a man, how you should be, as a father, how you should be, as a wife, how you should be, as a citizen, how you should be, as a human, how you should be. It's all made up, isn't it? Keeps changing from time to time. Doesn't mean anything. When we all agree on the meaning of something, we live peacefully. When we disagree on the meaning of something, we keep fighting with each other. But this meaning and not meaning, this agreeing and not agreeing, it's happening by itself. Doesn't mean anything. There's a beautiful definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness is realizing what you thought happened didn't. Forgiveness is realizing what you thought happened. In other words, the meaning you gave it. No, that's just made up. Didn't happen. What happened, of course, happened, but your meaning you gave it, that's made up. How powerful is that? Can you sense the power of what's being shared here? Nothing you're seeing means anything. Hearing means anything. Smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, imagining, remembering, believing None of it means anything. Now what happens? What if none of it means anything? Don't even believe what I'm saying. Just say, what if it doesn't mean anything? Can I be open to that possibility? When you stop believing the personal meaning you give to events, then you start connecting with a deeper intelligence that is animating all things, that is behind all things, that does not operate according to human logic, human desire, human needs. You start tasting a deeper balance, a deeper intelligence. But it's not found in words, actually. When our devices don't work, we contact the technician. And usually the first thing they say is, sir, please unplug your device. Please restart your device. Restart your computer. Restart your washing machine. Restart your fridge. Restart your printer. Restart your modem. Put it on and off. That's usually the first thing they say. What does it mean? Unplug. So when you've been trying again and again to solve something in your life, in your work, in your home, in your relationship, in your health, maybe you have an addiction to something or the other. You've tried everything, it's not working. So I'm here to tell you, unplug. Unplug from what? Unplug from the meaning you're giving it. Unplug from the assumption you have around it. Will you be brave enough to unplug, even for a few seconds? What if this doesn't mean anything? Or the other way of saying it is, what if I don't believe my thoughts about it for even 5 seconds? Let me ask you, what's wrong with your life if you're not allowed to think about it? If you're not able to think about it, what's wrong with your life until you think about it? Check. If you don't give arbitrary meaning to things, is there anything wrong with your life? जो है जैसा है वैसा है. It is the way it is. Is it not? What I'm pointing to is not to be found in my words. Don't get lost in words and concepts. That's the same game you've been playing for a very long time. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to disagree with me. Look beyond all this agreeing and disagreeing. What if none of this means anything? And a part of you is holding on. No, no, no. But how can that? But my parents, but my religion, but my guru, but my. What if it doesn't mean anything? I was in Sweden recently, and there's a museum there called the Vasa Museum, which is one of the top 10 most visited museums in the whole world. It's a very fascinating story. About 400 years back, there was a king who ordered a very ambitious project to make a big ship called the Vasa. It was at that time one of the biggest, most ambitious projects to ever make a ship that huge, that big. So they spent 2 years making the ship. The main designer of the ship, he died early on. So they all continued making the ship. It was a combination of Dutch ship makers and Swedish ship makers. So they spent 2 years making it. And on its maiden voyage, its first voyage, within 1,500 meters of departing from port, a big gust of wind came, and this big, huge, big ship, it sank. Can you believe it? It sank in just 1,500 meters, it sank. Now, from any perspective, this is bad news, right? So much money was spent, so much effort was spent. I mean, so many people worked so hard. I mean, trees were brought from Poland, 1,000 oaks were bought from Poland. How many people worked so hard on this? And just within 1,500 meters, it sank. And of course, some people escaped, but many people died as well. Now, from all perspectives, this is bad news. There's nothing good about this. But now look what happened. This boat, this ship remained underwater for 300 years. It was too big to salvage. It was too huge. Over time, they forgot the exact location of where it sank. So now about 30, 40 years ago, uh, a person rediscovered where it was. And he managed to, with the help of modern technology and a lot of ingenuity, good engineering, they managed to raise this ship from the ground. And it is one of the best examples we have of a complete ship from 300, 400 years back. And they've done so much of research on it. They managed to bring it up. They spent a good 20 years preserving it, cleaning it. Now it's in this museum. It's huge, it's gigantic. I think it's bigger than a football field in size. And it gives us a peek into the past. And millions of visitors come to this museum every year. And they learn so much about history. They learn so much about the way those people lived. So a ship would have lasted what, maybe 50 years, 100 years. But now this ship is so well preserved. What is good news? What is bad news? That's what I'm trying to say, you know. What meaning we give. From all purposes, the ship sinking is bad news. People dying is bad news. But from the perspective of infinity, eternity, we can't say it's bad news because so many people learn so much. They benefit so much. That ship was meant to be a warship. It's good it sank, right? In a way, it would have killed so many people if it kept going. It would have gone into a war. Who's to say what's good news? Who's to say what's bad news? You and I can fly in planes safely because so many planes have crashed and they've learned something from each crash. pilot error or mechanical failure or this or that. And that's why flying is actually safer than driving your car. Nothing means anything. What you're calling good news, don't be so sure about it. What you're calling bad news, don't be so sure about it. What if it doesn't mean anything? Good news turns out to be bad news. Bad news turns out to be good news. Is it not so? So if you stop resisting the parts of your life you just don't like, you think there's nothing in this, just like that ship sinking. There's nothing good in this ship sinking. It's all bad news. But turns out it has a good side. So you say, this part of my life, there's nothing good in it. It's only bad, bad, bad for me, bad for my friends, bad for my relatives. It's only bad. Well, don't be so sure about it. What if it doesn't mean anything? This one question has the ability to unplug you from the matrix. What is the matrix? What we call in India, Maya, Maya Jal. What is Maya Jal? Made up stuff. Like you go to a movie hall, movie theater, or even at home, you're watching on television, and you get captivated. You get captivated. You get all captivated by something. What's happening? Nothing is happening, actually. Some images on a screen. And you're getting all sad and all happy. Sometimes you're crying, sometimes you're laughing, sometimes you're bored. What's going on? Nothing is happening, and you're getting so impacted by it because you're giving it meaning. You're watching a Hindi movie, but your friend is visiting, they don't understand Hindi. So you're getting all captivated. They're not getting captivated. They're wondering what is going on. They may have some little bit of understanding, but they don't really know what's going on. So they don't laugh when you laugh. They don't gasp when you gasp. Because you're giving it meaning, they're not giving it any meaning. So this is Maya. This is the matrix. This is the made up imaginary world. So the two things we've learned today, we've learned Mahasati today. Noticing what is happening without adding layers of thoughts and beliefs to it. Coming back to the simple awareness of the body movements. The body is always moving, actually. At the very least, you're breathing or you're blinking your eyes. The heart is beating. Movement is constantly happening. Even if you were to stop breathing, every cell, there's activity. And the other thing we've learned today is questioning the meaning we give to things. Is it really true? Who am I without this assumption? One of the benefits of traveling, when you travel to another country, or even if you travel within India to a different state, you go from a city to a village. You go from a village to an Adivasi community, tribal community. You'll notice something remarkable. The meaning that we give to things is not uniform. The meaning city people give to things is different from the meaning village people give to things. There's a different from the meaning Adivasis or tribal people give to things. Sometimes I'd like you to visit in Uti. There is a tribe called the Toda tribe, one of the most ancient tribes in the whole world. In fact, the word Uti comes from Uttakkamanda, which was their tribal word, which the British people began calling Uttakmand or Uti. So if you go and spend time with these tribal people, they have a whole different way of looking at the world. For example, when they pray, they first pray for the um, they first pray for the health of their water buffalo, because for them the buffalo is God for them, right? So they first pray for the health of the water buffalo. Then they'll pray for the good weather, and then they'll pray for the village, the health and the benefit of the village. There is no concept of praying for themselves. They have no idea that you can pray for yourself also. You can pray and ask for what you want. This concept is completely missing in this tribe. So you pray for good weather, you pray for the health of the water buffalo, you pray for your village. There is no concept of praying for your family or yourself. That concept is just absent. Isn't that amazing? They have a different meaning they give to things. They have no concept of thank you. This lady gave us some coffee, this tribal lady. And our guide told us, don't thank her because there's no concept of thank you. Just receive it. She's feeling complete in giving it. You feel complete in receiving it. Thank you creates separation. Wow. Thank you creates separation. When my right hand scratches left hand, my left hand does not say thank you. It's understood. So the benefit of traveling, the benefit of going to a different state, going to a different country, going to a different, even different family, go meet your friends. They give the meaning they give to things is different from the meaning you give to things. It's not like they're right and you're wrong, or you're right and they're wrong. No. It's that it's all made up. It's all made up. When you realize it's all made up, that's the beginning of your awakening. There's this nice way of calling this, it's a funny way of calling it. All these rules that are there in society, like for example, women can have long hair, men should have short hair. Women should wear pink, men should wear blue. This is what's called bullshit rules, or the short form is brules. So when you believe all these bullshit rules, you're in the matrix. Arbitrary meaning. Did you know, by the way, high heels, it began as fashion for men to wear high heels. High heel was never for women, it was for men actually. I think somewhere in France or somewhere in Europe. Men began, for a few hundred years, men were wearing high heels. Then somehow it shifted, now women wear high heels. Now, this is just made up. This is just a bullshit rule. Men can wear high heels, women can wear high heels. There's no reality to this. So I'm going to say that most of what's bothering you and me are these bullshit rules. But how you are supposed to be, how your children are supposed to be, how the world is supposed to be. Bullshit rules. Rules. What if it doesn't mean anything? Is it not true that most of what's bothering you, most of what's bothering me, is not questioning these bullshit rules? Sheshadri Swami was a Siddha, a Jnani who lived in Tiruvannamalai. The more famous person from Tiruvannamalai is Ramana Maharshi. But the other great saint of that place was Sheshadri Swami. And Sheshadri Swami was he didn't behave like a saint. He was quite a uncouth, he was not a very, like Ramana Maharshi had this very saintly aura about him, but not Sheshadri Swami. He'd fight with you, he'd shout at you, he'd disappear for a long time. Strange person. But the people who lived there, they knew he's not an ordinary person. He's a jnani, he's a siddha. So he had this habit, very strange habit. Once in a while, he will enter a shop and he'll start shouting. He'll start screaming. He'll start throwing things around. He'll start breaking things. Now, if suppose you have a shop and someone enters your shop and starts shouting, screaming, throwing things, you're probably going to call the police. At the very least, you'll call your friends and say, let's throw this guy out of here. What's he doing? But that's not what they do in this city, in this town. When Sheshadri Swami comes to their shop, starts shouting, screaming, breaking things, abusing, they quietly step out of their shop and they let him do what he does. And people are saying, what are you doing? This man is breaking your shop. He's throwing things. And let him do it. Why should you let him do it? Because they know from experience, this is his way of blessing the shop. Any shop that has received this treatment has gone on to become super successful in the future. Wow. So shopkeepers are delighted when he chooses to come to their shop, starts shouting, screaming, breaking things. It's like he's breaking the stagnant energy. In India, we believe in Vastu. There is stuck energy in homes. There is sometimes stuck energy in shops and in businesses. And then we do all these Vastu corrections. But he's just right away, he's just snapping it, breaking. He's throwing things around. He's breaking furniture. He's breaking glass. And at some point, he just walk away from there. And they never call the police. They bow down. Now, can you see what a remarkable thing this is? Anywhere else in the world, this would be called vandalism. The police would have been called. This person would be behind bars. But in this town, this is seen as a blessing. This is a powerful blessing. Yes, it'll cost us a little bit to repair things, but we know from experience, wow, business is now going to just take off. Can you see how someone shouting and breaking things does not mean anything? It's the meaning you give it. You say this is vandalism. You say this is a blessing. It's a made up thing. It's the stories we tell. So are you going to get tormented by your own stories? Are you going to get afflicted by your own stories? Or are you going to be entertained by your stories? Are you going to be ennobled by your stories? Are you going to be freed by your own stories? Can you be a master storyteller? How do you become a master storyteller? By believing that, by knowing that all you're doing is creating stories. Those stories don't mean anything. It's all made up. Everything I'm saying right now is made up. But the question is it freeing you or is it binding you? Certain stories will bind you. Certain stories will help you wake up. It's like using a thorn to pull out a thorn. I'm using the thorn of a story to pull out another thorn. So at least once in the day, come back to bare awareness, simple awareness. When walking, walk. When chewing, chew. When bathing, bathe. When sleeping, when lying down, just lie down. At least once in the day, do that. There was this Zen master. Somebody came to him and said, people say you're very, very wise, very liberated, very enlightened, very special. What's so special about you? He said, nothing special about you. No, everyone says you're special. There must be something. So he smiles and says, well, when I'm tired, I sleep. When I'm hungry, I eat. When you're hungry, you eat. When you're tired, you sleep. We all do that. We all eat when we are hungry. We all lie down and sleep when we are tired. What's so special about you? What's so great about you? He says, no, you don't. Most of you, when you sit down to eat, you have 1,000 thoughts. You don't just eat, you have 1,000 thoughts. Most of you, when you lie down to sleep, you have 1,000 thoughts. You don't just sleep. But when I eat, I just eat. When I sleep, I just sleep. Can you see the beauty of that? When eating, just eat. When walking, just walk. How much land do you need? Just enough to support your body. How much air do you need just for one breath? How much do you need? How much food do you need? Just one mouthful. It's all provided. This world is your playground. It's all provided. My teacher said to me, when you were born in a billion-star hotel. So what do you mean billion-star hotel? So you talk about five-star hotel, but this is a billion-star hotel. Most hotels, even five-star hotels, you have to go with your own suitcase, your own clothes, your own, whatever, shoes, toiletries. But when we came into this billion-star hotel, we came with no clothes. We came with no shoes. We didn't even know the language. We had no money to pay for this hotel, but we just showed up and everything was provided. So my teacher said, this is a billion-star hotel. The ceiling of a five-star hotel doesn't change that much. But look at the ceiling out, go step out of the house. The sky is always changing. Every day it's a little different. The ceiling keeps changing and everything is provided. Only now recently we begun charging money for water and charging money for food. There was a time you could travel, even today, if you go on pilgrimage, like I live in Pune, where we have this, people come and they walk long distances. They do a pilgrimage. They're fed. They're fed. They get fed. They're given a place to sleep. They're given something to eat. They walk for days and days. It's the palki that happens. And all these villagers and all these people, they walk hundreds of kilometers. Someone feeds them. Someone gives them a place to rest. If they're tired, someone gives them, a massage. Someone will give them, if they hurt, someone will give them medicine. It's a different paradigm. This paradigm is now not that prevalent, but there was a time when you could just have everything you need. In fact, it's true even now. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I lived as a monk. I didn't use money for 6 years. And let me tell you, I lived in a much better place than you live. I lived in a 5,000-acre monastery. This is bigger than most people's farmhouses. The entire village fed me food. This is better than your best five-star hotel chefs. An entire village fed me food. I had a gigantic library. I had wonderful companions from all over the world. So how strange it is. I gave up everything and I got so much more than normal people can ever imagine. So this is your true inheritance, actually. So at least once in the day, just do what you're doing. Just feel what you're feeling. And at least once in the day, question what you're believing. What if none of this means anything? What if my thoughts don't mean anything? What if my feelings don't mean anything? What if what this person is saying, what my boss is saying, or what my husband is saying, my wife is saying, my children are saying, what if it doesn't mean anything? What they're saying is not hurting you. The meaning you're giving it is what's hurting you. And we hold on to stuff for years. You said that to me. You said that to me. 10 years later, 20 years later, you said that to me. Well, they said whatever they said. What meaning have you given it? Why are you carrying it around like that? There was this teacher, he told his disciple, you carry a bag with you, and every time you carry a sack, like a big sack, gunny sack. And every time you have a worry thought, you put a potato in that gunny sack. So, all right. So, wherever he'd go, he'd carry a gunny sack. Every time he had a worry thought, he'd put a potato in the gunny sack. Now, over the next few days, you can imagine that sack became really heavy. It went from a few potatoes to hundreds of potatoes. Everywhere he went, he's carrying these potatoes. Now, how troublesome life is when you're carrying a huge sack of potatoes everywhere you go. And he can't wait for his teacher to tell him, okay, now let go of the potato, let go of the bag. He can't wait for it. When will you let go of your potato sack? Or do you want to keep carrying it? Today is a good day, Independence Day, 15th August. It's a good day to let go of the potatoes. Let's make some aloo ka paratha or potato chips. That's a much better use of it than carrying these potatoes everywhere on our head. So can I ask you to share in the chat one or two things from today's practice that stayed with you, that touched you, that left an impression on you? Take a minute or so. Let's type out in the chat. Let's learn from each other. What is something that stayed with you? Maybe it was a story, maybe it was an example, maybe it was a practice, maybe it was something quite unrelated to what we did, but it came back to you. You remembered something. Oh, yeah, that is something that's important for me. So take a minute to type it out and let's learn from each other. You can address it to everybody so we can all read what you've experienced. So Sunita learned about unplugging. Ritu, potato sack for sure. And Purnima saying unplug and the meaning that we give. Balaji, nothing makes any sense other than the meaning we give it. Yes. What is, says Beena. Dimpy is fascinated by the sack. Renuka is saying, notice what is happening. Meeting all culture practices with a welcoming heart and hand. Yeah, but every culture has some very beautiful things to teach us. At the same time, it's limited, right? Indian culture has many wonderful things, but it's still made up. It's wonderful, but it's made up. Japanese culture is wonderful, but it's made up. So don't get lost in this. Know that it's just made up. Dimpy says practice. Jayanti says remain in the present. Neeru says don't believe your thoughts. Achut says born in a billion-star place. So true. Renuka says being a master storyteller. Praveen is saying liberated. Sujay is saying holding on to unwanted things. Balaji is saying what seems as a disaster may be just a way of moving it to make it better. Yeah, true. Once a day, be in complete awareness. When you eat, just eat, sleep, just sleep, at least once a day. Recognizing the Maya that's created around us by us, says Meera. Beautiful. Dropping the baggage, be light in the moment. Santu had a long list of things. Awareness of the body, Mahasati, don't carry the potatoes, the meaning, the Vasa story, Sheshadri Swami story, Toda story, the monk story. I'm tired, I sleep, I'm hungry, I eat. Beautiful. Seema says unplug, reset, potato sack. Don't believe your thoughts. Toda community example. Lovely. Good. There are many more messages. I'm not going to read them all, but I'm reading them in my mind. Feeling so rich to realize that I was born in a billion-star hotel. Yeah, it's amazing. Lovely. Very good. So let's pause for a minute before we end. You don't have to struggle to remember any of these things, because even remembering is one step away. Remembering is one step away. See, you don't have to remember, I have a stomach, I have a stomach. Your stomach is still there. You don't have to remember, oh, I have a nose, I have a nose. Oh, I should breathe, I should breathe. You will breathe anyway. So don't struggle to remember any of this. This is part of your inheritance. This is your true nature. So just relax. Relax. Nothing needs to happen. Relax. Nothing is under control. Just relax. It's all happening the way it's happening. You are a wave in an ocean of intelligence. If you have to believe one thing, I know this is also a made up thing, but believe this thing, that you are a wave in an ocean of intelligence. And a wave is not separate from the ocean. So who you really are is a living, breathing ocean of intelligence. Nothing you have to worry about. Everything is taken care of, down to the details. If you have to have a story, that's a good one. And the question I'd like to keep with you is, what's wrong with right now? What's wrong with right now until I think about it, until I give it some meaning? What's wrong with right now? You'll find there's nothing wrong with right now. You're already in heaven. This is called Sat Chit Ananda. This is truth. Before you give it a meaning, it's true. After you give it a meaning, it's false. This is Chit, you're conscious. In Mahasati, we're learning Chit, to be conscious, to be aware, to notice. This is Chit, and this is Ananda. This is Ananda. Ajato Anand Anand. Ajato Anand. The best thing you can do for your country, for your family, and for this world is residing in Anand Anand, is being inwardly free, inwardly independent. Now you can contribute to your family, your community, your country, and this world, being a truly free, independent, wholesome place. Yatha drishti tatha shrishti. Yad bhavan tad bhavati. The way you see it, that's how you experience it. And what you're feeling is what you're creating. Your feelings are determined by the meaning you give to things. So thank you for joining me for this beautiful morning session. I enjoyed being with all of you. The highest in me bows to the highest in you. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Be well.